What tools can be used for future planning? By the time we're done with this video, you're going to leave with the tools that you can use to start planning like a futurist. You'll uncover tools for helping you uncover your unique positioning. You'll leverage models for predicting possible futures, and you'll even leave with worksheets that'll help you get started on planning your future right now. So let's go ahead and get started. There are countless tools that can be used for future planning. And so in the course of this video, I'm going to present you with a few of the most popular. That doesn't mean that my list is all encompassing or is touching on every single tool, but these are some of the ones that are not only the most popular, but also some of the easiest to use. So if you're newer to this and you're just getting started, this might be a good resource for you. Tool number one is a SWOT analysis. If you're looking at a changing future and maybe you're seeing how things are changing around your business or in your particular workplace, stop and do a SWOT analysis. All that is it can be set up as a worksheet where there's 4 boxes, or you can do it in list form, but all you're looking at is, in this particular situation, what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, what are your opportunities, and what are your threats? And again, this can be done on a personal level, a professional level, or an organizational level. This is something you can do as an individual or bring other team members in to help you with the process. But it's very important to understand where your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats lie. The reason why you want to do this is by identifying your threats, it can help you plan against those things. So once you identify them, you start thinking, what can we change in our strategy so that if this threat were to occur, we'd be able to minimize and mitigate the risk that it presents to us. In addition to that, when we look at the opportunities, now we might start to see things that we haven't taken advantage of before, but can help move our business or our individual selves forward. And then strengths and weaknesses, those are pretty obvious. It's good to know where those are because it tells you the things that you can take advantage of and maybe the things that you need to strengthen up on as well. So SWOT analysis is tool number one when it comes to future planning. Tool number two is forecasting models. Oftentimes we use computers for this type of tool. But what a forecasting model does is it uses data-driven and statistical information to model out possible futures. It helps you identify potential trends and outcomes so that you can start planning with those items in mind. It doesn't mean that they're absolutely going to happen, but if we start preparing against these potential futures, it does ensure that we'll be in a better position than if we were not prepared for those potential futures. Tool number three is scenario planning. Oftentimes in any particular situation, we're planning for an expected future, but oftentimes there are other potential futures that are just as likely. So for instance, I live in Houston, Texas. I plan my summer around the assumption that it's going to be a pretty normal summer. However, a hurricane can hit. That's a very possible future scenario. And so planning against that potential scenario would include me having things like flood insurance, as well as stocking up on water, canned goods, and having a backup generator, right? And so when we think about planning for the future, you want to plan against other alternative scenarios, the things that may not necessarily be desirable, but are also still probable. Planning against those things will also help you sometimes against other scenarios you never even considered. So again, number three is scenario planning. You can do this by yourself or with a group of people to help you really think through other possible scenarios. Here's a special tip for you. If you really want to be great at scenario planning, bring in people outside of your organization or bring in people outside of yourself who can see things that perhaps you cannot. They're going to contribute in ways that you're not expecting and will only help bolster you against other potential scenarios. While we're looking at tools that'll help you be more prepared like a futurist, if you want to have a little bit more of an understanding of how futurists think as you're going into using these tools, make sure you check out my video, Think Like a Futurist. Tool number four is conducting a trend analysis. Now, trend analysis is a really interesting tool because it causes you to look at trends in a few different categories, including consumer behaviors, emerging market trends, industry trends, and what it allows you to do is anticipate potential changes and start planning for those potential changes so that you get ahead of the curve. Along similar lines of the trend analysis is something called a PESTLE analysis. Now, this is getting into some very specific areas that you want to look at in terms of possibilities. Specifically, what PESTLE stands for is political, economic, social, technological, legal, and environmental factors that could influence your potential future or the future of your organization. By doing a PESTLE analysis, it causes you to look at all the different factors that could have a bearing on your future. Sometimes as we're planning, we don't think about all the different things that could impact what's going to happen to us in the future. Because we don't think about those things, we don't start to plan against them and put plans in place that allow us to be ahead of the curve. The last tool I want to leave you with is a strategic roadmap. Now, this is more of a visual tool that demonstrates your long-term goals, milestones, and initiatives to guide the organization's future planning process. Now, strategic roadmaps are not something new. Many organizations do it. Oftentimes, you can do them as an individual human as well, but it allows you to get a bigger picture of where you're going in the long run. And so some of these other tools, you can actually take your strategic roadmap and break it up into smaller segments. So if your strategic roadmap, for instance, is to cover a 10-year period, you can do a PESTLE analysis over the first 2 to 3 years. You can do a SWOT analysis over the first 1 year. So I'm trying to show you how you can start to use these tools in interchangeable ways where some might be more long-term and others you can start to break up the actions you need to take in the short term to prepare and ensure that you're reaching those actual long-term goals. So hopefully all of these Futurist tools will help you in being strategic in how you plan for the future. You do not need to use all of the tools that I shared, but think about the ones that would be the most helpful, especially those tools that will help you address areas that maybe you haven't addressed in the past, those things that are often overlooked. These are the tools you need to use, not necessarily the ones you're most comfortable with or the ones you're familiar with, but the ones that are most likely to give you data and perspective that you would not have otherwise had. Speaking of Futurist tools, some of these tools are actually going to appear in a download that I've created for you. If you notice in the description of this video, there is a link to download the Future Ready Playbook. This playbook was designed with you in mind and has all kinds of activities that will help you be more strategic in planning your personal future, your professional future, or even your organization's future. And some of these tools mentioned in the video have been crafted just for you and are located in that playbook. Make sure to download your copy right now.